There's no shortage of strange and unusual vehicles out there, from the three-wheeled Reliant Robin to one-wheeled motorcycles. It seems that if you look hard enough, you'll always find something turning the corner that you've never seen before. People are coming up with some strange ways to get around, and whether they're purely for fun and novelty or hoping to make a fast break for the future, let's begin today's video on the top 15 most unusual vehicles of 2022. Number 15. Alibaba Cop Car. If you're not changing your fleet of cars to electric vehicles, then be ready to be left behind. From regular civilians to federal post offices around the world, it would seem that everyone is revving up to go green, even the police. But there's one cop car for sale on the e-commerce site Alibaba that will make your head spin. Probably one of the smallest police vehicles in the world, this funky little cop car comes with a 2.8 kilowatt electric motor and a 60-volt battery that has 7.2 kilowatt hours, which actually isn't all that bad. And while it may not be suited for high-speed chases on the highway, this tiny EV can hit nearly 90 miles an hour as long as it's fully charged, but also that makes it good enough for your average street duties too. The only catch here is the cab is only large enough to fit 2 people, so if someone is being arrested, then the arresting officer had better be prepared to sit right next to the perp on the way to the station. According to the official Alibaba website, this tiny electric vehicle of the law can go for anywhere between $3,500 and $5,000, depending on how many units one is willing to purchase. But what are you getting for your money other than a planet-saving police car? Well, it comes with everything you'll ever want or need from a car, like an adjustable sunroof, sliding windows, and even a built-in stereo. It's not bad considering cops often like to get a little bang for their buck. Number 14. Toyota Rhombus. When Toyota revealed their poorly named Rhombus, no one in the room was really jumping for joy. It's an odd-looking car that doesn't look like anything on the market today, in a bad way. Not quite the belle of the ball, the Toyota Rhombus is a concept electric vehicle with just one driver's seat in the front and 2 passenger seats behind it. Interestingly, sitting in this concept car kind of feels like you're sitting in a bathtub. A single swivel seat substitutes for conventional 2-seat front row, while 3 chairs in the back form a lounge pit-style space, which is why this EV would be ideal for use as a taxi. This approach was to make passengers feel comfortable, especially during a long drive. The plan of the Toyota Rhombus concept shows the seats arranged in a diamond pattern, hence the name Rhombus. Toyota is hoping that the futuristic exterior design would entice youthful drivers, but the only people who really like to take baths tend to be children. No one knows for sure when the Rhombus will be available for purchase, but no one expects the line to be very long for this thing. Number 13. Lexus Hoverboard. Everyone knows that you can't ride a hoverboard over water unless you have power, but maybe the Lexus Hoverboard is up to the task. Not to be confused with the 2-wheeled combusting hoverboards under the Christmas tree in 2010s, the Lexus Hoverboard, or Slide, can perhaps become a reality in the not-so-distant future. How does something like this thing work? Well, if it ever moves out of the concept phase, the Slide will be magnets, not just the kind you put on the refrigerator. According to Lexus, its hoverboard relies on superconductors and magnets, which combine and repel the force of gravity and lift an object, or in this case the hoverboard, right off the ground. It may sound a bit like the old Hendo hoverboard, which is yet to make it off the ground, but the key difference here between it and the Lexus project is that Lexus opted for a superconductor, which creates a different kind of magnetic field instead of Hendo's normal boring conductor. Perhaps this is the competitive edge that Lexus needs to make the technology work. Experts have gone on to say that superconductors don't require the same oscillating magnetic fields that other hoverboards have relied on. Instead, the Mesner effect comes into play, which essentially says that when you take a magnetic field near the superconductor, it induces a current in that conductor and creates essentially a magnetic field on the other side of the superconductor. You create current, but since it's a superconductor, the currents don't die away, and you can have a magnet that levitates above a superconductor or vice versa, a superconductor that levitates above a magnet. Yeah, it's a lot of scientific jargon, but it means the Slide will work much like a maglev train. Now, if only the Slide could travel as fast. Number 12. Skuna BBQ Boat. Who doesn't love a good barbecue? Another unusual vehicle available to the masses on Alibaba is the Skuna BBQ Boat. So what can you expect with this tasty aquatic vehicle? Well, for starters, it's electric, so you can go to bed with tummy full of ribs knowing you did your part in keeping the environment clean and safe for the next generations to come. The BBQ Boat's outfitted with an 1100-watt electric motor, and it's perfect for just chilling out, maxing and relaxing all cool while grilling up burgers and hot dogs along the gentle waters of a river or inlet. So as you'd expect for a boat like this, it's got a built-in barbecue pit right in the middle for preparing a meal right then and there, and the fiberglass hull is rimmed with a stainless steel grab handle for safety. There's also a stainless steel diamond plate on the step to enter the boat, which seems like another good nod to safety, because the last thing you want while hopping into a bobbing and spinning platform that's inherently unstable is to faceplant into a burning barbecue pit. This boat may be lit, but you don't want to get too lit. Keeping your footing and having some nice grab rails should come in handy. The boat can also hit speeds between 3.7 and 7.4 miles per hour. As long as you don't hit any waves, it should be some seriously smooth sailing. Number 11. Volkswagen ID Buzz 2022. Although their signature Beetle may be both iconic and eccentric in the modern world, Volkswagen has made some pretty understated cars in the past. This, though, is not one of them. Generating plenty of buzz, the Volkswagen ID Buzz 2022 is another funky-looking car gearing up to hit the streets in the coming year. But first things first, the price. Well, the car starts about $62,000, but promises to give you your money's worth. Aside from being a real head-turner, the ID Buzz comes with 19-inch wheels, a 10-inch infotainment display with navigation, plus Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, as well as a reversing camera, heated seats, and even a heated steering wheel for those cold-blooded drivers. Expect some clever little touches too, like a USB slot in the passenger door, a hidden wireless phone charging pocket on the dash to promote looking at the phone while driving, and even a totally flat door that really makes the ID Buzz feel like the car has been designed with plenty of forward thinking. You can even add a 3-pin plug underneath the front passenger seat to charge up your power tools on the road. It may be a cleverly designed electric vehicle, but it's certainly unusual in terms of the exterior look. Number 10. Porsche Vision Renndienst. Pulling up looking like a giant red peanut M&M is the Porsche Vision Renndienst. Most likely designed to compete with the vibrant Volkswagen ID Buzz 2022, the Porsche Vision Renndienst is giving off some strong retro vibes while driving into the future, with, you guessed it, an electric battery that keeps it up and running. Not many details are out just yet, but some interior shots have been made available to the public. The central driving position, which is very much like a McLaren F1, is what really catches your attention when you first look inside. The vehicle was thought out as an autonomous vehicle, but if hitting top speeds is your thing, then manual control is an option too. The interior also goes for the soccer mom by day, race car driver by night look. The asymmetrical windows are also pretty striking, with one being small and another being large to allow for a pretty great outdoor view. The seating layout is also quite fascinating too, with the passengers being offset to the left and right of the driver, and the final third row featuring some very comfy-looking lounge-style bench seating. And you can't forget about the sunroof that seems to completely take over the space above the driver. At this point, I think Porsche can do whatever they want, and that means making this unusual-looking little red van. Number 9. The Heat. If you can't stand the heat, then stay out of Ashton Kutcher's kitchen. The Heat is one of the most unusual yet expensive vehicles you'll find, and it's owned by none other than Ashton Kutcher. Nope, you're not being punked. The celebrity teamed up with Anderson Mobile to create this unconventional $2 million home on wheels, dubbed the Heat. The mobile estate has an automated 2-story mechanism with it, and it measures 53 feet in length and is 13 feet high when closed, and 17 feet while opened. It weighs about 70 tons and it's got total space of 1,100 square feet, of which 600 square feet of space is on the main lower deck and 340 square feet on the upper retractable floor. The whole process of raising the upper floor takes close to 30 seconds, only after which it's ready to be used. The whole thing is actually pretty stellar. The upper floors have a lot of flexibilities considering their functioning, like collapsible oak wood walls and foldable furniture when the space isn't in use. The massive mobile home features 2 bathrooms, a living area, bedrooms, and conference space, plus a retractable Hollywood-style spiral staircase that connects the floors, and a fully equipped kitchen. The Heat also comes with 7 massive plasma screens for entertainment and security. When someone approaches this vehicle, the cameras fitted outside give a 360-degree view of what's happening to the passengers inside. Apart from being ultra-modern and full of high-tech amenities, the Heat also seems royal thanks to the extensive polished oak wood on the walls and polished granite and marble in the kitchen and bathrooms. Just don't expect to see it driving next to you on the highway anytime soon. Number 8. Quadrifoil. Hydrofoils may not be new, but the folks at Quadrofoil have managed to give us some pretty cutting-edge technology. This PWC style has 2 seats and can zip through the water at 24 miles an hour, all while suspended a few feet above the water. And despite these speeds and the suspension, the Quadrofoil Q2S gives a pretty smooth ride with its 5.5 kilowatt motor and 10 kilowatt hour battery pack. But this also means that it's relatively eco-friendly, since it doesn't spew any fumes into the air and it's pretty quiet too. It may just be the perfect water vehicle for sneaking up on your unsuspecting friends. And it can go pretty far too, with a 54 nautical mile range. The QS2 has superior handling and can hit those tight turns in the water with the help of its dual-grip steering wheel, complete with a touchscreen gauge in between the 2 handholds. And when it comes zipping down the river during spring break, you'll be thinking that whoever's driving this thing has got to be from the future. Only this future is a reality, as long as you've got the $25,000 to shell out on this awesome vehicle. Number 7. Big Wind. Did you ever dream of growing up to be a firefighter when you were a kid? No? Well, maybe if you had seen the Big Wind, you would have felt differently. Looking like a transformer coming to life, Big Wind is the most unusual, albeit coolest fire truck you'll ever see. Why? Because it uses jet engines. Although not from 2022, Big Wind is built on the chassis of a Russian T-34 tank dating back to World War II. In place of the original gun turret, instead it sports a pair of Tumansky R-25 turbojets as used in the MiG-21 fighter jet and produces 27,000 pounds of thrust. Each jet engine was then fitted with 3 water nozzles capable of delivering up to 220 gallons of water per second. It was designed and built specifically to put out fires in oil wells, which is no easy task. And while it may seem incredibly complicated, the mechanism behind its firefighting power is quite simple. Oil blasted out of a wellhead is under pressure, and the primary flame is a good 15 to 30 feet clear in the air. The intense blast of water and air help cut off the supply of oil to the flame, while also helping to suck huge amounts of heat out of the atmosphere and surrounding area. With the air around the burning wells reaching temperatures of 650 degrees, the sand below heating up to 1300 degrees, it wasn't enough to simply put out the fire either. Big Wind would continue to spray for a full 20 minutes after extinguishing the flame, ensuring the oil didn't auto-ignite upon splashing back down onto the scorching hot ground. Number 6. H1 Panther. We may not see Hummers on our streets as much as we once did, but maybe we should be looking at the water for them. The H1 Panther from Watercar is based on the old military Humvee, but kicks things up a notch with just the push of a button. The folks at Watercar completely disassembled original Humvees and rebuilt them from the ground up. The majority of heavy steel and cast iron parts are replaced with new lightweight aluminum alloy and stainless steel components so as not to sink. The Humvee body is epoxy coated and installed on a Watercar's proprietary unibody hull, which is extremely strong and fabricated from aircraft quality 6061 aluminum. New Mercury marine components are installed along with Watercar's proprietary systems. The transformation from land-only Humvee to a high-speed amphibious vehicle is extremely labor-intensive, taking about 2,000 hours of labor to accomplish. But it seems like it's totally worth it, because once this process is all done, you're looking at one of the wildest vehicles ever made. Seating up to 6 passengers, the amphibious H1 can hit a top speed of 35 knots, thanks to the Chevrolet LS3 gas engine pumping out 400 horsepower and 375 pound-feet of torque. It takes just 20 seconds to go from terrain to aquatic mode, and it's got a range of 380 miles on land and 96 on the water. Number 5. Xturismo Hoverbike. Now we're really venturing out of the unusual and kind of into the bizarre. The Japanese startup ALI Technologies recently unveiled its Xturismo at a racetrack near Tokyo. And while the hoverbike just flew a few yards off the ground for a shaky minute, the second trial a few months later proved to be much more impressive, flying higher, longer, and steadier. So how does this thing even work? Are we officially living in the future yet? Well, yes and no. Relying on 2 already existing technologies, the Xturismo Hoverbike is what happens when you place a motorcycle on top of a drone platform. And this makes it a VTOL, meaning a vertical takeoff and landing craft. The hoverbike is also a hybrid, getting its power from a conventional engine and 4 electric motors. It's capable of flying thanks to a set of propellers, 2 primary ones where the wheels would have been, and 4 secondary propellers at each corner, which act as stabilizers. The Xturismo qualifies as an ultralight aircraft, which means that you don't need to be a certified pilot to fly it. Just don't expect it to hit shelves anytime soon, because while anyone can operate it, it's the exact opposite of road legal. There's no regulatory framework for these kinds of vehicles yet, because most people don't own and operate anything like it. Yet. For now, the Xturismo can only be used on private properties and racetracks by anyone willing to throw $680,000 on the table. Number 4. The SkyDrive Model SD03. Keeping our eyes in the skies and our heads in the clouds, we've got the Model SD03 from SkyDrive, another Tokyo-based startup. Perhaps here to usher us all into the next phase of getting around. SkyDrive's electric VTOL flying car is emission-free and designed with stability in mind. This vehicle allows for safe, rapid door-to-door transportation anywhere, including for use as emergency rescue. An SD05 model is actively being developed and is under consideration for use as an air taxi for the World Expo 2025 in Osaka, so we're all one step closer to this thing becoming a reality. Having recently advanced towards commercialization with the Japanese Transportation Ministry acceptance of this type of certificate application for the SD05, SkyDrive is the first and only flying vehicle developer to meet this milestone in Japan to date. So it could be very possible to see these things flying around as air taxis or landing in front of your door to bring you takeout. SkyDrive has also exhibited a miniature model of the SD03 at the CES in Las Vegas, and just days later, a full-scale SD03 was on display for attendees to climb aboard at the J Startup Pavilion and Eureka Park. Number 3. Samson Sky Switchblade. What if your car could turn into a plane in 3 minutes at the push of a button? And no, this isn't Chitty Chitty Bang Bang we're talking about here. This is the Samson Sky Switchblade. After 14 years of design, research and development, and fundraising, Samson Sky, creator of the Switchblade flying car, announced that after an inspection by an FAA agent, the vehicle successfully completed high-speed taxi testing and is ready to take flight. So while it hasn't gotten off the ground just yet, it's taken its first step towards liftoff. Half car, half plane, the Samson Sky Switchblade is classified in the US as a 3-wheeled motorcycle that just also happens to fly. With room for a pilot plus 1 passenger, it can both drive on roads and use runways to take off and land, using wings that fold out from storage underneath its body. But with something like this, there is of course a catch. You just can't land and take off anywhere. This means your takeoff and landing location flexibility is identical to existing planes. In other words, the company's claim that you can fly anywhere you want is dependent on access to airfields that will allow you to fly there. Rules are rules. Number 2. Morgan Super 3. Putting a new spin on a classic racer, we have the Morgan Super 3. It's pretty tough to take your eyes off this thing, and although it's a brand spanking new vehicle, it manages to keep things to the basics. The Super 3 lacks doors, a roof, and a windshield beyond a small bolt-on plexiglass deflector. But by Morgan standards, the Super 3 is a technical tour de force, as it's the first vehicle the British manufacturer has produced in its 113-year history to feature a unibody construction. Unlike every previous Morgan, including the company's current 4-wheel models, there's no longer a frame incorporating the old yet gorgeous English timber beneath the bodywork. In the Super 3, aluminum sections are welded into an integrated structure. But then what's under the hood? Well, pop her open and feast your eyes on the new 1.5-liter from Ford, pumping out 118 horsepower and 110 pound-feet of torque. But despite all the power, the Super 3 weighs only 1,400 pounds. Power reaches the rear tire through a 5-speed manual transmission sourced from an older gen Mazda Miata, plus a bevel gear-turned drive belt. The car's basic shape is very fuselage-like, but with a flat side panels holding the radiators and featuring mounting points for what Morgan promises will be a range of luggage bags and accessories. There's also a small amount of space beneath the rear trunk, making this a great choice for solo trips. Number 1. Candela P-8 Voyager. Based out of Stockholm, Sweden, Candela seems to be the world leader in hydrofoil electric boats, flying above the surface of the water to consume significantly less energy. But in 2022, it unveiled its newest electric watercraft, the Candela P-8 Voyager. Designed to replace traditional water taxis and commercial passenger watercraft that have conventionally relied upon combustion engines for power, the P-8 Voyager is preparing to usher in a greener future for maritime transportation. It relies on a similar hydrofoil system used on Candela's other electric boats, which the company's many engineers designed while relying on experience from the futuristic drone, aerospace, and software industries. The onboard flight controller automatically changes the foil's angle of attack when the boat reaches 16 knots, allowing it to lift off and fly above the waters. The flight controller then relies on a wide array of sensors to gauge wave height and ensure a smooth ride in adverse conditions. The system can handle 4 to 5 foot chop and boat wakes thanks to its high ride height and quick adjustments to roll, pitch, and height that are made 100 times a second. It's a pretty amazing vehicle, and seeing these things pop up all over the water certainly wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
Watch our Vehicles playlist for more top 15 videos about amazing vehicles. Sit back, relax, and binge watch all of our best vehicle videos.